They die as a death. Thank you.
You're right, George.
Did he have sort of
I'm just going on in these big boots.
I'm going on in Boogie's pants, so when I bend down, I hope it don't split open. Somebody's alive.
Paul's all right, he's got his jacket on.
Can I have a towel? Excuse me.
Don't be nervous, John. I'm not, Macca.
I know, but the cases are still up at the door.
I get something in my head, you know, and all the walls of Rome couldn't stop me. You're right, pickled onion.
I remember so vividly showing up at a show, and you'd be in your ordinary clothes, and then you'd take out of your little suitcase your suit and your shirt and put them on, and then finally your Beatle boots, and you'd stand up, and you just looked at each other, it's like, yeah, there we are.
This is Beatleland, formerly known as Britain, where an epidemic called Beatlemania has seized the teenage population.
Confusion here at London Airport. Hundreds and hundreds of young Beatle fans.
The younger generation is going to hell.
Nostalgious.
They're what?
They're gorgeous.
Their haircuts and the clothes they sit in with fashion. The way they sing, their clothes, their hair. It sounds different.
Well, they're confident, they're natural. They sort of represent the teenage people.
By the end, it became quite complicated, but at the beginning, things were really simple.
Thank you very much, everybody. Thank you. Yeah. Thank you very much.
A lot of people thought we were an overnight sensation. We weren't. People didn't realize we had all this development. They just saw these four things that looked alike with this haircut, and they knew how to play. And they were a bit of a laugh, you know, because that's what we've been doing all those years previously.
I had a group. I was the singer and the leader. I met Paul and said, do you want to join my band? You know? And then George joined. We were great live performers then. I don't think anybody in the world ever saw us outside of Liverpool and a few places where we travelled to, because that's when we had to perform live to a small audience in the dance hall. We had to hold them.
We were just playing all the time. Then we went out to Hamburg, and that was a real slog. We were playing sometimes 8 hours a day.
I was right in the middle of the naughtiest city in the world. At 17 years old, it was kind of exciting.
Us with Rory Stone, we were like the top band in Liverpool, and for some reason this guy in Hamburg decided to come to Liverpool and take all the bands to Germany to play. Well, we went to see these punks, and that was it.
I still remember that moment the first time Ringo played with us. Bang, he kicks in, and it's like, and it was an oh my God moment. We're like, I remember looking, and we're all looking at each other like, yeah, this is it. Whew, I'm getting very emotional.
Once we got Ringo, we started to do better and sort of do it professionally.
You know, for me, I'm an only child. I felt like I suddenly had 3 brothers. We just wanted to play. Playing was the most important thing.
Hamburg was a bit messy, you know, having to sleep all huddled together in one room. You know, no bathroom or anything, but then we'd had practice because we didn't have a bathroom at home.
We used to have this saying that I used to chant and they would answer. When they were depressed, you know, and thinking the group was going nowhere and this is a shitty deal and we're in a shitty dressing room, I say, "Where are we going, fellas?" And they'd go,
To the top, Johnny.
and I'd say, "Where's that, fellas?" And they say,
To the toppermost of the poppermost, Johnny.
I'd say, "Right," and we'd all sort of cheer up.
We were always kind of, you know, a little nervous before each step we went up the ladder. But we didn't realize what was to come.
Last night I said these words to my girl.
The Beatles. In one meteoric year, they've led the way from the cellars of Liverpool to the national limelight.
Do you have any fears that your public eventually will move on to a new favorite?
It's stupid to worry about things like that. It's not worth missing your sleep for, is it? No, boring. No. It could happen tomorrow, and it could, you know, we could have quite a run.
I was living in Sweden, and the Beatles came to Sweden. And I remember I went day after day and stood outside the hotel at the end of school. And I just remember seeing their figures on a balcony. Once a day, the Beatles would come out and wave.
Hello, my name's Paul McCartney, and I play bass guitar. Hello, people there. I'm George Harrison, and I play solo guitar, yeah.
This is Ringo Starr, and I play drums.
And this is John Lennon, and I play better guitar.
They were like a gang. Do you know what I mean? They each had their little characteristic. I mean, John was surprisingly fearless. Paul was surprisingly cute. Ringo was cheeky and irresistible. And George was the one that my sister was in love with.
Now, you're tremendously lively and full of zing on the stage. How difficult is it for you to keep up this zest?
Well, we do the zest we can.
I've spent my whole career, in a way, trying to recapture in things that I write the hilarity of 4 friends, 1 drink down, age 19, laughing at their jokes and all the new stuff that they find really funny. The Beatles were kind of the dream of how you might be with your friends as you went through life.
Oh, screaming, that's reminded me, yes. You say, why do they scream?
I don't know. I couldn't tell you. If somebody scores a goal, there's a louder cheer from all the people. So if we shake our heads, it's the equivalent of scoring a goal, and that's when the screams are loudest. Do you see what I mean?
Yes, I do understand. You do that when they scream.
This is the BBC Home Service. Here is the news read by Frank Phillips. Thousands of teenagers who had been waiting for more than 12 hours in Liverpool to book for a Beatles show were disappointed. At one time, the queue stretched for over a mile, and the police had to seal off side streets to traffic. Ambulance men dealt with more than 100 casualties, most of them suffering from exposure to the rain. When the tickets ran out, many young girls burst into tears. More rain is forecast for most of the night.
Hello, London. This is Leonard Parkin calling Radio Newsreel from Washington. President Kennedy and Governor John Colony were shot today from an ambush as President Kennedy's motorcade left the center of Dallas, where the president was on a speaking tour.
It was disturbing for us. It was a mixture of all these sort of strange things, you know. Where the world was at, it was scary. But in all truthfulness, we were more in our own heads, you know, being in a band.
You know, we were lads. It was like, this is our journey and things are being put in place outside of our consciousness. Even the first trip to America, there was no plan. You could not plan it.
I'd been very fussy about America. I'd said, we can't go to America and come back having failed. If we ever get a number one, then we can really go in and, you know, we'll be kings.
So Marcia Albert has the honor of introducing something brand new and exclusive here at WWDC. Marcia, the microphone here on the Carol James Show is yours.
Ladies and gentlemen, for the first time on the air in the United States, here are the Beatles singing I Want to Hold Your Hand.
Oh yeah, I'll tell you something I think you'll understand.
I remember we were in Paris playing at the Olympia. A telegram came through and said, congratulations, boys, number one in America, hold your hand. It was like, we just jumped on each other's backs, ran around and just partied round and round this little room for hours, just screaming. It was like visas, passports. America, here we come.
The Beatles were on their way to America. Come back, Ringo. Come back, all. George and John, and come back, Paul.
It's such a feeling that my love.
When we came, I know this for myself, and I know because we talked to each other. We were in America before the plane landed. I could feel New York. It was an incredible sensation. It was like, come on down, boys.
We all knew America, all of us, you know, I mean, through all those movies, whether it was Disneyland or Doris Day and Rock Hudson or whatever, you know, James Dean, Marilyn, everything was American.
Apparently they're going to make a concerted effort to get through into the building, where in just a few moments a scheduled press conference will begin.
America is always seen as the motherlode for British performers, maybe for any performer in the world.
What about the reports that you guys are nothing but a bunch of British Elvis Presley?
It's not true, it's not true.
What that is what any comedian would want to do. The trick of dealing with heckles is to say the first thing that comes into your brain. And they'd already got to that place, and they could all do it.
I got a question here. You hope to get a haircut at all? No, thanks. I had one yesterday. That's no lie.
The Beatles were cheeky. It's kind of where every kid wants to be, quite a lot of adults want to be, being able to talk back to people who are telling you what to do. They were cheeky, and I think people in the world like that. It's not aggressive, it's not nasty, it's just brazen.
Why does their music excite them so much?
We don't know, really. If we knew, we'd form another group and be managers.
And now, here he is, Ed Sullivan.
yesterday and today, our theater's been jammed with newspapermen and hundreds of photographers from all over the nation, and these veterans agree with me that the city never has witnessed the excitement stirred by these youngsters from Liverpool who call themselves the Beatles. Now, tonight, you're going to twice be entertained by them. Right now, and again in the second half of our show. Ladies and gentlemen, the Beatles.
Close your eyes and I'll kiss you. Tomorrow I'll miss you. Remember, I'll always do. And then while I'm away, I'll ride home every day. And I'll send all my loving to you.
We watched Ed Sullivan every Sunday night, my brother, my mom, and I. It wasn't even a question. It was just, that's what we did. And man, I'd never seen anybody that looked like them.
Close your eyes and I'll kiss you. Tomorrow I'll miss you. Remember, I'll always be true.
It was like a revelation. And when you're a little kid, you don't know it's a revelation, but it was like the whole world lit up. Suddenly I felt like I could be friends with them. And I'm black. Yeah. People would say to me, you think you want to be white? You like those guys? It's like, I never thought of them really as white guys. They were the Beatles. They were colorless, you know, and they were fucking amazing. The Beatles gave me this idea that everybody was welcome. If you weren't the hippest kid in the neighborhood, it didn't matter because you could be a Beatle fan. And I liked that. And that sort of carried me into these older days where it's like, I am my own person. I can look the way I want it, I can be the way I want, and it's okay. And I got that specifically from them.
Fresh after their appearance on the Ed Sullivan Show, where over half the country was watching, the four English musical stars with their pudding bowl haircuts were mobbed by about 4,000 shrieking teenagers when they got to the Plaza Hotel.
We had the whole floor in the Plaza. And the four of us ended up in the bathroom just to get a break from the incredible pressure.
Let me on. Let me on. No, let me. No. Me. Television. Me. You. Me. No, you. Me. After you, sir. Cut.
But we loved it. To pick up a small transistor radio was the first time in New York. And here you're coming out the radio. It was mind-blowing.
Hey, this is John Lennon of the Beatles on 1010 WINS.
Now, we just want to tell everybody, this was the Beatles station. They're taking over. They're telling us what to play.
Hello?
Yes, Ferguson's calling for the manager of the Beatles. May we have his name, please?
Their manager's name is Mr. Brian Epstein.
Looking back now, it was Brian Epstein. He was the guy who got us famous, really. Brian was class. That was what Brian was. He was like Liverpool class.
Well, Brian was 27. He was a grown-up. He had a car. Right? The Beatles' parents were Liverpudlian, working-class people that had been through a war. Our playgrounds were bomb sites. His parents ran a record shop.
Well, it seems a funny sort of world for a young man like you to be in. How did you get into it? How did you start?
I heard about them through a lad who was asking for a record by them in one of my stores, or my family's stores, in October 1961.
Growing up, my mum always wanted me to talk proper. You know, all of us, really.
You know, I could talk like I'm from Liverpool. Fuck you, I'm telling you. Don't give me any hard time.
Whereas Brian was very well-mannered, very well-spoken, so we felt we could trust him.
I went down to see them in Liverpool at the Cavern Club.
The Beatles sing Stand to the Sky.
They were fresh and they were honest, and they had what I thought was a sort of presence, and this is a terrible vague term, star quality. Whatever that is, they had it.
Some of the guy now, taking my love away from me, oh now. Some of the guy now, taking away my sweet desire now.
He was looking at our stage presence. In the early days, it was clear that he had a vision of us that was beyond the vision we had of ourselves.
At that stage, they were playing around the clubs in Liverpool, rather scruffily dressed, black leather jackets and jeans, and a rather untidy stage presentation, but having great fun. But I don't think that they would have bothered to do anything about it, because young, inexperienced people are not really very good at presenting themselves properly in the right sort of quarters.
He took us to a tailor, Ben O'Dawn, and we went to this guy and he made us up suits, you know.
I'm not sure exactly what time we'll be back from Washington. We're going to Washington tomorrow and then coming back on Wednesday. Bye.
Brian kept us together as a team.
What place do you think this story of the Beatles is going to have in the history of Western culture?
You must be kidding with that question. Culture. It's not culture.
What is it?
It's a good laugh.
This is Carol James, and now from the Washington, D.C. Coliseum, the world's most exciting group, Capitol Recording stars the Beatles.
You know, the suits. It's the simplest of ideas. It suddenly made us one person, a four-headed monster.
Hello?
Thank you very much, everybody. And good evening. How do you do? We would like to sing a song which we recorded on an LP that we made. That's English for album, an album that we made. And we'd like you, if you would, to sort of join in and clap your hands, you know, and stamp your feet. The songs go, I saw her standing there. 1, 2, 3.
Which one are you?
Eric.
Eric?
It's not for me, it's for Paul. I'm doing a
Eric, here is the American public.
I'm John.
You're John.
It's only a joke.
Yes, well, John, here is the American public. 40 million American viewers.
It only looks like one man to me.
Staring you right in the face.
Oh, it's the cameraman.
What is your impression of the American public? You've been here for a while now.
They are the wildest.
Why?
Well, I don't know. Tonight was, marvelous, ridiculous. Well, there was 8,000 people all shouting at once, and we were trying to shout louder than them with microphones, and we still couldn't beat them.
Was America something like what you thought it would be like?
No, nothing like it. We thought it'd be much quieter. We thought we'd have to grow on everybody, and everybody seems to sort of know us all, as if we've been here for years. It's great.
I love the Beatles for them, and I'll always love them. Even when I'm 105 and an old grandmother, I'll love them. And Paul McCartney, if you are listening. Adrian from Brooklyn loves you with all her heart.
It's a romantic thing for us, being in America, playing to our American fans.
Ringo has a sexy nose.
A sexy
George has got sexy eyelashes.
Who has?
George has got sexy eyelashes.
Which one is George?
Sexy eyelash. That one. He's got sexy eyelashes.
The very earliest records were all pleas to the fans, and it was all personal article.
In the early days, we didn't count lyrics at all, as long as it had some vague theme. She loves you and he loves him and they love each other.
So hold me tight tonight, it's you.
It's all direct. It's kind of conscious. We were actually appealing to girls. We young boys were appealing to girls, to get our fan base.
In those days,
Go on.
you yourselves, you write very good songs. Don't you?
Thank you.
Aye.
Thank you.
How do you write songs?
Well, we just depend. Sometimes we write them on old pianos and anything that's lying around,
Normally we sit down and try and bash one out, sort of thing. But then again, there's no formula, because he can come up with one day completely finished. We still say we both wrote it, though.
I got every reason on earth to be mad, 'cause I just lost the only girl I had.
They'd run a single every 3 months, and we'd have to be writing literally in the hotel or in a van.
We wrote on the road, mainly me and John. George developed as a writer later and became an unbelievable writer. But at the beginning, it was mainly me and John. So we would be in a hotel room with 2 twin beds, and he'd have his acoustic guitar, I'd have mine, sit opposite each other. And because I was left-handed, he was right-handed, it was like looking in the mirror. And we'd just start something and ricochet off each other. He'd do a line, I'd do a line, and we'd just write it down. And when we were finished, we didn't have a manuscript, but we had a sheet of paper with the words, and we remembered the chords.
Yeah, it's #1 in Cashbox and Billboard. Yeah. In New York, 3 records, Please Please Me, She Loves You, and I Want to Hold Your Hand, are all #1. All joint, yeah. Thanks. Well, we'll see you, in 2 weeks, I suppose.
My relationship with John was very close musically. We looked after each other, really. It was like someone you kind of looked up to a little bit, When I first met him, I talked to people in my life, and they said, what do you like to do? What are your hobbies and stuff? And I'd sort of said, I like songwriting. I've written a couple of songs. And they'd all go, oh, yeah, great. What did you think about the football? And I go, oh, okay. No, nobody interested. When I said that to John, he said, oh, so have I. I go, whoa, wait a minute, a big connection here. I'd never met anyone who'd written songs. So that's how we started. I think it's something like just short of 300 songs John and I wrote together.
mother's father was from Liverpool. There was that pride thing that they were from Liverpool, you know. I'm 9 years old. When your favorite group is the Beatles, you know, it is like supporting a winning football team because it's like they just keep winning the cup. You'd wait all week to hear the Hit Parade show so that you would hear for sure the Beatles song because they would get to #1.
Top British vocal group, top 4 records of the year, the world's leading vocal group, the Beatles.
Can't buy me love, can't buy me love. I'll buy you a diamond ring, my friend, if that makes you feel alright. I'll get you anything, my friend, if that makes you feel alright. 'Cause I don't care too much for money, money can buy me love.
For some reason, whatever we were putting out, they were loving it, you know? And they loved us wherever we went. I mean, it was a surprise to us too.
John, Paul, George, or Ringo, the Beatles.
It was a different kind of fame because we didn't have social media, we didn't have satellite television, and yet the word would spread that this group were coming. Once it was big in one country, it got bigger in the next.
Australia, there was more people came to see us there than anywhere. I mean, it looked like, I think the whole of Australia was there.
Along the 9-mile route from Adelaide Airport to the city, almost 250,000 people lined the street.
My picture of it now is there was a ship going to discover the new world, you know? And the Beatles were in the crow's nest. And we just said, land ho.
Second time I called you talking to him. Do I have to tell you one more time? Think it's a sin. I'm gonna let you down. Let you down. Leave you flat. Gonna let you down and leave you flat. Because I told you before. Oh, you can't do that.
And so we were all on this ship in the 60s, not just Beatles, but our movement, our generation. And we went somewhere.
And of course, the next most extraordinary thing is the fantasy version of the Beatles from '64. You know, Hard Day's Night.
It's been a hard day's night, and I've been working like a dog. It's been a hard day's night. I should be sleeping like a log.
You fancy yourselves as actors then, do you?
No, definitely not. But we enjoyed making the film, and especially with the direction. The director was great, you see, and it made it much easier for us.
United Artists said you ought to be able to make a good, quick, low-budget film with them as long as it's in the cinemas by July, because we think there'll be probably a spent force by the end of the summer.
Give us a kiss.
I shall call the guard. Ah, but what? They don't take kindly to insults, you know.
The only thing that was apparent through the 7 weeks of the shoot is that sense of protection, being protective when they had to be, supporting one another in a family way.
One of the things about Hard Day's Night and everything you heard about the Beatles is the lack of self-pity, that we had a feeling they were adoring what was happening to them, and therefore that made it like a completely virtuous circle. Fan, Beatles, fun, excitement, music. And of course, everybody in the world could buy tickets to see them.
What you're seeing is the emergence of this international teen culture. If you're 14 in 1964, who are you looking to for cues? Not your parents. Beatles hysteria is kind of a muscle flexing of that generation, the baby boom. It's no accident you see all this kind of youth culture coming out of that time, because quite literally the society is dominated by teenagers.
You know I feel all right.
How long are you going to be over in Ireland?
Whenever the film starts, we're going to be there then.
Then you're going to do a tour of about 25 American cities?
25, 30 days.
The first time we went to America, it was just 10 days. So when we came back, we knew they were waiting for us.
Tell me, several people on these radio programs want to know, what do you plan to do when the bubble bursts?
Oh, sure, Fred. What do we want to know? We're going to have a laugh.
The biggest question in 1964 was, when is the bubble going to burst?
WFUN, South Miami.
I was 21 years old, news director of a station in Miami, WFUN, Fun in the Sun Radio. We got word that the Beatles were going to come to America, and I wrote a letter asking for an interview with them, and I sent it to Brian Epstein, their manager. I got this letter back inviting me on the tour. And I said, I'm not going. We got the war in Vietnam escalating. The president just died. Muhammad Ali is training 3 blocks from our studio. The Ford Mustang is being released. It's one of the biggest news years in the history of the world. Why would I, a news guy, want to travel with a band that will be here in October and gone in November? My bosses said, you got to go. My father pulled me aside before I went on tour, and he said, watch your back. These men are a menace to society.
It's been a hard day's night, and I've been working like a dog.
Hi, this is Larry Kane on tour with the Beatles. Let me give you a little description of the dangers of being with the Beatles. When we drove up to the stage door, the Beatles were almost crushed completely by youngsters who massed themselves against the wall, broke about 50 windows, throwed rocks, jelly beans, undershirts, sandals. The situation was one of sheer havoc, even though the police did their best to stop it.
The first couple of days, there was a bewilderment. There was a wondrousness. Is this really happening to us?
One girl stuck her hand through the window and grabbed at my face. I'm okay, don't worry, people, I'm all right.
4 cities later, in Vancouver, British Columbia, 7,000 kids rushed the stage.
Thank you, folks. Before we do the next song, certainly, ladies and gentlemen, the Beatles have come a long way to do this show, and we'll have to cut it short unless you move back, because they're very worried about the situation at the front. Back, back, back.
240 kids wound up in the hospital. None of the police in any of these cities were prepared for this. Nobody was prepared for this.
Wouldn't you say, Derek, that the police departments don't realize how bad it is?
I think that's true. They've all seen crowds before. I mean, they all say, we know our own people, we know the police potential, and we're going to be able to handle it. But what they've never seen is a Beatle crowd. This is the biggest thing that's ever happened. There's no question about it. It's like nothing before. It's not like Presley, it's not like Sinatra, it's not like the late President Kennedy. It's the Beatles, and they are without precedent.
Thank you. Thank you very much, everybody. Tom. It's wonderful. Thank you. Singing a song from the first album that we ever made, a song which was originally recorded by a group called the Shirelles. Just a minute, check in. Yeah. Yeah. Singing a song called Boys Ring Now!
I was way in the back, way at the top.
surrounded by lots of girls, really crying real tears and so beside themselves. I felt as much as a girl can feel. I was in love with John. I remember spending all day putting my hair in beer cans to make sure it was straight because I have curly hair, picking out the dress. Because of course they would see me along with 15,000 girls. It was this sense of world music that we were all loving them all over the world.
This is Larry Kane on board the Beagle Bird, as I'll call it.
I have with me George Harrison. How you doing, George?
I'm very well, Larry, and how are you?
Fine. You glad to be back in America?
Yeah, it's great.
This is Larry Kane with the Beatles flying across America.
With me, I have Ringo Starr.
Right over Kansas, 23,000 feet in the air. On our way to Cincinnati. They had a wild one yesterday. This exciting 25-city coast-to-coast tour. Atlantic City, Philadelphia. Well, let's talk a little bit about the crowds in Indianapolis. Back and forth again. The stage set for Milwaukee tonight. You can hear the buzz and excitement here in the Chicago Amphitheater. Now in Detroit, Michigan, the Beatles really shook up the crowds in Toronto. In Montreal, Canada. Hi, this is Larry Kane traveling with the Beatles. Now let me explain to you the type of feeling that you get after 13 performances watching the Beatles in action and watching the crowds. It's a chilling feeling inside because you know you are experiencing a phenomenon that is the only one of its kind in the century thus far, and that probably will go down in history as the greatest show business example of music and admiration in many, many hundreds of years.
Remember, too, that in 1964 there were riots throughout the South because of the civil rights movement. You started to feel a social change happening.
This is Larry Kane, and the big question mark still is Jacksonville, not knowing whether they will be able to perform.
I had received a report from my station that the Gator Bowl in Jacksonville was going to be segregated. So I mentioned it to them in the interview.
What about this comment that I heard about concerning racial integration at the various performances?
We don't like it if there's any segregation or anything because it just seems mad to me.
And I could see Brian in the corner of the room going like, oh my God.
Well, you're going to play Jacksonville, Florida. Do you anticipate any kind of difference in that opinion?
I don't know, really. You know, it'd be a bit silly to segregate people because, you know, I mean, I just think it's stupid, you know. You can't treat other human beings like animals.
That's the way we all feel.
That's the way we all feel, and a lot of people in England feel that way, you know, because there's never any segregation in concerts in England, and in fact, if there was, we wouldn't play them, you know.
During that same summer, we had the 3 civil rights workers in the South who were missing. And then found out I was 15, living in segregation. It was an apartheid that's probably difficult for a lot of people to even picture. The only white person I would even have contact with was a salesman who would come into the community. I was ripe for something different, I think, by the time I heard that the Beatles were coming to town.
All of them, by the way, were very emphatic about Jacksonville. They said if there was going to be segregation of any kind, we're not going.
We played to people. That's what we did. We didn't play to like those people or that people, you know what I mean? We just played to people.
It was amazing that the 4 of them, young men seeing the world, started to act up and blow back on this very, very hot and sensitive issue, knowing that it would really irritate a lot of Americans.
We had to all decide that we agreed on a thing before we do it. That is like one of the classic things about the Beatles. 4 votes had to be carried for any idea to go through.
Instead of going for an individual thing, we went for the strongest format and for equals.
That was one thing to be said about us. We were very, very close to each other. We'd always stick together.
We all had to agree, so it was a strong decision.
You know, the proof's in the pudding. It worked really well.
It was my first concert, and I went by myself. The only catch in my breath that I got was when I went to my seat, and there were all those other people around me, and I still can feel that to this day, that there were all these white people around. But I remember standing up with everybody and then just yelling as loud as I could and singing along. That was the first experience I had where it was possible to be around people who were different, and at least for a while those differences could disappear.
If I fell in love with you, would you promise to be true and help me understand? 'Cause I've been
The people who ran the Gator Bowl integrated for the first time ever, which from my historical perspective and study, ended all that in most of the big stadiums of the South.
And the next 8 days are probably the most grueling of the tour. Looks like the Beatles are holding up strong.
Every night on the airplane, they would walk up to the front of the plane where the opening acts were and kneel down and talk to them. Every single night, they would ask them if they were okay because they were being ignored by the crowd.
This is Larry King, traveling with the Beatles, and they're looking forward to going back to England because they'll be there for 2 weeks where they'll record records and do music. And then, believe it or not, another month-long tour, this time of their own country, sometimes it's by bus, and that's pretty hard.
My mother, who died in the summer of 1964, and somehow or other it got to them that she had passed away. And Paul and John both consoled me.
John and I, we both lost our mothers. Mine had died of cancer, and his had died in a terrible road accident. So that kind of pulled us together a lot. You know, being teenagers, we each needed to do something that would get us away from this tragedy. And so songwriting was it, really.
'Cause I couldn't stand the pain.
They were very, very sensitive to other people's feelings. All four of them, they were intelligent people who cared about other people, who had a sense of themselves. They also liked making fun of me.
John, last night you were very kind, and Derek was very kind to invite us up to see the movie, which I have seen
I
twice.
never invited him at all. Just saw him sitting there, listeners.
Well, anyway.
Only kidding, Larry.
This has been Larry King, traveling with the Beatles.
It's extraordinary when you think about it, that they were touring in this kind of circus of life. The sort of madness of all that jamboree of excitement and hysteria. And yet they were able to express the way they were feeling, the weirdness of it, because inside those Beatle suits were composers, they were writers.
You said we'd miss out a bit late. You're coming in the wrong halfway through the solo. So what was it, 12 bar? Wasn't it?
The studio was like our little haven. Once we got back there, we knew we could experiment. We could hear ourselves. And we would write songs that would be a progression and that would be fun to record.
Brian Epstein and I worked together very closely planning their future. And we agreed that we should put out a single every 3 months and an album every 6 months.
Baby's good to me, you know she's happy as can be, you know she said so. I'm in love with her and I feel fine.
I was under pressure because I got such little time with him. I would say to Brian, I need more time in the studio. And he would dole out time like giving scraps to a mouse.
One of the great things about our recording was the schedule. You go in at 10 o'clock in the morning, tune up, have a ciggy, have a cup of tea or something, and then John and I mainly would present the song that we'd written to everyone. He goes,
Just go through it anyway if it makes make mistakes just to practice it.
Try to remember, John, and if I don't, well, it's just too bad, isn't it? Okay? Is it just me and you? 1, 2, 3, 4. No, that's too much. You're daft, cat. Oh, it's one of the 4 of them. 1, 2, 3, 4.
Ringo would tap along, and George would just suss the chords, and then George Martin would go, oh, that was rather nice, it was marvellous. And it would take about 20 minutes to do that.
George, what did it sound like with the bass doing a funny thing? Did it sound any good or did it sound just utterly crap?
It might be all right.
No, let's do it again.
Take 3.
1, 2, 3, 4.
At the very beginning, George Martin was the only man who could press the button to record. We'd play it and do it. Oh, did you get that, George?
I'm getting up, yes.
Wonderful, Paul.
That's lovely.
Keep that one. Mark it fab.
Do you want to have a listen before we go on to the next one?
George had recorded The Goons. That was like a cult thing that we all loved and we all knew it.
At that time, I was a comedy producer, recording Spike Milligan and Peter Sellers, and a lot of English comedy actors.
So he picked up our humour. He picked up our camaraderie, you know. We thought, well, he's mad. We'd love him.
We just have to have a go of it, you see.
Oh, you're a right pickle,
I know. On the early records, George Martin was a god.
To begin with, I was very much in charge because I was the kind of schoolmaster teaching them everything. And they had to do what I told them.
You had 1.5 hours from 10:30 to finish that song. Boom. So that focused you. That was a great discipline.
We'll do it again.
So we'll try and get it good, too.
I'm just going to start recording.
Okay.
Whenever you like. Red line's on.
Every minute of the day, someone wanted something. You know, drive to EMI to do a record, down here to Soho to do a photo shoot, drive back to do some TV show.
I'm a loser, and I'm not what I appear to be.
I was singing the wrong words there. Drive to Birmingham to do a gig, end up in a nightclub. I mean, we were just doing 4 or 5 things a day, you know, but we had each other. And we brought that to the music.
Ooh, I need your love, babe. Guess you know it's true. Hope you need my love, babe. Just like I need you.
The thing about the scale is that writing lots of songs is not particularly difficult. Volume is not the thing. The extraordinary thing about the Beatles is the amount of great songs. Schubert wrote about 800 songs, of which probably 100 are absolutely beautiful melodies. The other 700 pretty good. The only comparison with that kind of level of melody may be Mozart. Very, very high volume of very good melodies. You have to wait a long time then till you get someone who's up in the hundreds. And that's when you hit the Beatles. Which is why I think you can compare them in some ways, because of the sheer volume of the invention.
I ain't got nothing but love, girl. 8 days a week. 8 days a week.
Hello again from Hullabaloo, London. Ladies and gentlemen, Mr. Richard Lester.
Richard, what do you think we could tell them about the new Beatles pick?
Well, first of all, it's going to be different from the last one. It will be in color. It will be a film that has a lot of plot and a lot of entertainment about it. And Ringo's in trouble again.
We need protection. We've got a record to do tomorrow. I need protection.
And you shall have it. Get me protection.
You don't realize how much I need you. Love you all the time and never leave you. Please come on.
enjoyed very much doing Hard Day's Night, and we kind of taken it seriously. But with the film Help, we were kind of pretty disinterested. You know, we are now doing it again. And so it couldn't be quite as exciting as the first time. Nothing is. The main thing I remember, we all had meetings about tax structure. And they would sort of say, oh, you've got to put your money in the Bahamas or somewhere. So when we were asked about the film, we'd say, can we go to the Bahamas?
We were told, you're going to film in the Bahamas. You write a scene.
I get high when I see you go by. My oh my.
In 1965, they invited me to Nassau to watch them film the movie Help. I walked into the house and I saw something very unusual. They were all high on marijuana. And I'd never seen this before.
Hey, Paul. How you doing?
Hello, Larry.
Good to see you again.
Lovely to see you, yes.
Hey, John. How are you doing?
Well, that's all I can say, Larry. This thing's wide open. Anything can happen, man.
What is this anything can happen business?
It's sort of a new phrase which sums things up. Larry, all I can say is this thing is wide open. Everything can happen, man. See the way you said it, then?
Thanks a lot.
Anything. Larry?
We'll be talking to you.
In all truthfulness, we spent a lot of that film slightly stoned.
Things were spiraling like crazy during Help. There were people coming in with contracts for the bubblegum royalties and being condescending, and then the press were getting aggressive. They owned all of us.
There's no switching off. The elevator man wants a little piece of you on the way back to your room. The maid wants a little piece of you back at the hotel. I don't mean sexually, I mean a piece of your time and your energy. And it's like a politician, you're on 24 hours a day.
I think that John got fed up first. He became agitated or frustrated about what was being written, particularly from 1965 onward.
Richard Lester had said, we need a song. And John started it. So by the time I came to see him, he had a lot of it. And he said to me, you know, this is kind of autobiographical. You know, when I was younger, so much younger than today, I knew what he meant. You know, and I knew now he was more insecure, because we were all a bit more insecure than we'd been when we were 17.
Like Help because I meant it. It's real. The lyric is as good now as it was then. It's no different, you know. It was just me singing Help, and I meant it, you know.
Please, please help me, help me, help me.
We were not getting a lot of money from records. We had the worst deal in the world, but we had a deal and we were on vinyl, and that's all that mattered. You've got to remember, we made our money playing live.
Well, they took some honey from a tree, dressed it up and they go, everybody's trying to eat my thing.
just got bigger and bigger and bigger.
Woke up last night, fast forward, 50 women knocking on my door. Everybody's trying to be my baby. Everybody's trying to be my baby now, yeah.
And then it got crazy.
They went back to America. They started playing stadiums, places like Portland, San Francisco, Metropolitan Stadium in Minneapolis, Chicago White Sox, Comiskey Park.
Now last night I didn't say late for the home had a 19 game.
There were lots of other groups touring at this point, but nothing like this. The money they were making night after night compared to other acts was unprecedented. The fact is, they had to play stadiums. Promoters and local police had to be begging Brian Epstein, telling him, you know, you can't go and play a 5,000-seat theater and have 50,000 teenagers going crazy outside. It will be impossible to control. This was massive, the first big stadium tour in history. And the biggest show of them all was New York.
There was the announcement of this concert, and I was like, can we? And my mom was like, we don't have the money for this. And then something, I don't know how she did it. I don't know how she did it, but she got 2 tickets. And she didn't tell me. So this is what happened. She said, we need to go. I said, where are we going? She said, I'll let you know when we get there. So we're on the train, and I'm not paying any attention. And we get up, and I said, where are we? And she said, we're at Shea Stadium. And I said, why? And she held up 2 tickets, and all I remember is my head going,
It's just amazing, you can't believe it. Biggest thing ever, 56,500, someone said. It's fantastic.
It just knocks you out, you know.
Shea Stadium was an enormous place. I mean, that was the first time it was used for a rock concert. Vox made a special big amplifiers for that tour, and they were like 100 watts. It just obviously, you know, wasn't enough.
Ladies and gentlemen, here are the Beatles. We'd like to do a song off our LP album, Beatles 6, I think. Can you hear me? Hello? And it's called Dizzy Miss Lizzie. You make me dizzy, Miss Lizzie, the way you rock and roll. You make me dizzy, Miss Lizzie, when you do the stroll. Come on, come on, come on, come on, Lizzie, love me before I grow too old. Gonna tell you, mama, I want you to be my bride.
One of the most remarkable things about the Beatles playing live is how in tune they are, because they can't possibly hear themselves. They don't think they have monitors. Amps aren't very big. Even if they were cranked to the max, they're not that loud. I mean, Shea Stadium being the most extraordinary, because I don't even think there's a PA at Shea Stadium. They're going through the tannoy, which must sounded like 1,000 transistor radios detuned.
We did the house PA, you know, and on first base is Willy Wonka, or whatever they said. That's the equipment we had. I could not hear anything. I'd be watching John's ass, Paul's ass, his foot tapping, his head's nodding, to see where we were in the song.
Playing to 56,000 people at the Shea Stadium. After that, you know, you just sort of think to yourself, you think, oh, what more can you do?
I remember George bringing up the subject with Brian. Hey, is this touring going to be an annual event? And I think he was the first one that brought up the idea of, hey, I've had enough of this.
That was a good thing about being four together, but not like Elvis, you know. I always felt sorry for Elvis because he was on his own. He had his guys with him, but there was only one Elvis. Nobody else knew what he felt like. But for us, we all shared the experience.
They came back to England late summer '65. The last time the Beatles played in Britain was that winter, you know, 7 or 8 days. My grandparents bought me tickets to see them, and my parents refused to let me go. The Beatles captured my imagination like no other group at that point. It was the way that I began to interpret the world. Each new record was built on the record before. You had this wonderful storyline advancing through with the Beatles. By the end of the year, we've been told there would be more records forthcoming. And they went back in the studio.
So after the solos, the midway.
The lights on, you might as well have a go, see what's up.
Let's go for one. See if we're all in tune when we play, George.
Girl, take one.
Is there anybody going to listen to my story? All about the girl who came to stay.
The first reaction to the new innovative sound of Rubber Soul was, I don't like this. I think they've lost their minds. What are they thinking? You know, or what's this?
She's the kind of girl who puts you down when friends are there, you feel a fool.
I kind of went from being a kid to being a teenager, so some of those things felt like the right thing, but it was still surprising this group of light kind of changed so much. There's a big jump from I Want to Hold Your Hand to, well, she told when she was young that pain would lead to pleasure.
Was she told when she was young that pain would lead to pleasure? Did she understand it when they said?
I didn't understand it at all when I first heard it. I didn't think it was any good. And then 6 weeks later, you couldn't live without the record. And that's good, and it's when you trust the people that make music to take you somewhere they hadn't been before, you know?
Formal occasion at Buckingham Palace on a foggy October morning. The ceremony of bestowing awards of honor, a ceremony hallowed by a tradition going back over the centuries. Members of the most excellent order, the British Empire.
Do you think the Beatles should have been awarded the MBE?
Well, I think the Beatles have probably done as much for popular music as people like Rodgers and Hammerstein and Gershwin did. The only difference being that the Beatles have done it in a matter of 2 or 3 years, whereas it took most other people a lifetime.
What's the MBE going to do to your teenage rebel image?
Who's got a teenage rebel image?
Well, you have. Have we? Oh. Has any of you any ambitions left at all? John? I'd like to be a duke.
They had achieved the summit, and they were, if you like, emperors, at the same time as they were prisoners of their fame. And I think they were beginning to chafe at people's expectations. The first 3 months had been lopped off to do whatever the Beatles' third film was going to be, and then it didn't happen. And so for the first time since they'd become successful and famous, they had 3 months off.
It had been 4 years for us of legging around in this mania. And we were tired, we needed a rest.
I once had a girl, or should I say, she once had me.
You know, the thing is that we were all interested in other things before the Beatles. We didn't really have time, but we were always looking around. I got involved with a gallery owner. We'd go to Paris and we'd buy paintings. We'd go to the dealer. So it was very exciting. But of course, George had developed an interest in Indian music.
I just want to carry on progressing with music, you know, writing more and just learning more about it. I've written so many songs that I've just thrown away as I've been writing them because I've wanted, when I've finally recorded one of mine, I've wanted it to be, you know, worth putting on the LP alongside Paul and John. I feel now I've got more idea about how to write songs.
We bought this house in the country on this estate, Maureen and Zach, my son, and John was up the road. We started to grow up and we started to have families and we started putting less energy into the Beatle bag.
We all kind of were very aware that we didn't live in each other's pockets anymore. We all had separate existences.
There's an interview that John Lennon gives to Maureen Cleave, which is published in March '66, where he talks about his reading. He sort of says, I'm not sure what I'm going to do next. This isn't everything, which is not what a pop star was supposed to say. That same month, March, they were doing a photo shoot.
By then we were really sort of beginning to hate it. A photo session was a big ordeal and you had time to look normal, and you didn't feel it.
Bob Whitaker was one of the photographers who took our pictures, and he came up, we all put on white lab coats, and we pretend to be mad professors.
The photographer was a bit of a surrealist, We really got into it, and that's how we felt, yeah.
To say about the things that you do.
To us, this wasn't a big deal really, because these kind of shocking things were part of the art scene.
About the good things that we can have if we close our eyes.
I especially pushed for it to be an album cover, It got out in America, and then there was some kind of fuss.
They were like, what? My beloved Beatles? No! This must stop.
Sorry.
Well, if you're going to keep that one, please.
Why don't you leave it on?
Yeah, just leave it out again.
Okay. I just had to vamp it up a bit. Now he tells me.
We were having more fun in the studio. It was getting more experimental. The songs were getting better, more interesting.
And I wake up early in the morning.
Lift May. And I'm still...
There weren't like big plans. Sometimes it just unfolded. Complete fluke.
Okay, ready?
John was not mechanically minded, and he took a tape home, and the tape had run off to the other reel, and he put it on like it was the start, but it was the end of the song, and that's when the guitar came. And he brings it in, you've got to hear this. And we said, oh, great, we've got to do that, so call in the boffins.
And I remember being in Brian Epstein's house and John playing it to Brian and to George Martin and saying, what do you think of this, But you can see there's a puzzlement going across their faces, But instead of saying, come on guys, I think you really got to put another chord in, he knew to leave us alone by then.
Slow down or speed up your tape, you can put in backward stuff, you can put in electronic sounds. And this is the kind of thing you can do on recording, which you obviously couldn't possibly do live, because it is, in fact, making up music as you go along.
Tomorrow Never Knows breaks so many barriers, musically speaking, and does so many things that no one had done before. It's got a drone all the way through, which is something that has in Indian music and used to exist in Western music in the 12th century. So it sort of triggered a whole movement that popular music would start to bring in these other influences from the avant-garde and put them into mainstream songs, into an album that millions of people will hear.
You know, when we first started, we were the nice, clean mop tops and every mother's son, and everyone loved us. And then suddenly, you know, there's a few things that they don't understand. It's just we're men now, you know, we're a bit older than those lads that started out. You can't live all your life by what they want. You know, we can't go on forever as four clean little mop tops playing She Loves You.
When we were back on the road, we got on a train and went up to Hamburg.
By then, I don't think we wanted to be anywhere. It was like automatic pilot, you know.
There's so much more pressure from the press trying to get at you, for whatever reason.
Why are you also horrid snobby?
Oh, we're not horrid snobby.
Yes, you are.
No, we seem horrid.
That's your version.
Generally in your mind, we are.
Because we're not flattering you.
You know, you expect sort of nice answers to all the questions. But if the questions aren't nice questions, they don't have to have nice answers. And if we don't give nice answers, it doesn't mean we're snobby. It just means we're natural.
Everything was hit and run in those days, and I think the next day after the Hamburg concert, we had a flight to Tokyo.
It's amazing security, you know, I've never seen so many people guarding it.
So we don't want you to be hurt or anything,
No.
so we're trying our best.
Everywhere we were going, it was a demonstration of one thing or another. In Japan, people were demonstrating because the Budokan was supposed to be a special spiritual hall and only reserved for martial arts, not pop music.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome the Beatles!
It was very strange. The audience were very reserved, respectful, very quiet to what we'd become accustomed to, very quiet.
He's a real man sitting in his nowhere land, making all his nowhere plans.
We were playing crap. We were just sort of surviving.
Where he's going to, he'll be like
We had a day off in the Philippines, in Manila, and then somebody said, you're supposed to be visiting the palace?
Madame Marcus had invited us to dinner. Brian had told her no.
Then the next morning, someone brought the newspapers, Beatles snub president.
By '66, it felt dangerous, you know, because everybody was out of hand. I mean, even the cops were out of line. You know, they were all just caught up in the mania.
To build up of tension and also dissatisfaction and frustration, and now they went straight into complete nightmare.
Now, this religious controversy, I know you don't want to say too much about it, but does it worry you that it's going to boil up when you get to the States?
Well, it worries me, yes, but I hope everything will be all right in the end, as they say.
Do you think this is going to be a controversial tour like the Philippines was?
Oh, no. No, it's going to be fine.
What makes you say that, Paul?
Oh, it'll be fine. You watch. Yeah, it's great.
It was all because of that interview John had given while on vacation. It was reprinted in America months later. Lennon says the Beatles are bigger than Christ.
At that time, churches were losing their congregations. People were going to church less and less and less. John was saying, we're so famous, we're so honored, you wouldn't believe the fame. I mean, we're bigger than Jesus. It was a harmless remark in the middle of an article, and it never made the front page in England.
That unleashed a firestorm in the United States.
It was almost like the plot of Help had become real, and they actually had a lot of people who suddenly wanted to dismember them.
This is the Leighton and Charles Show on Wacky Radio, broadcasting at 12:20 on your dial until about 9 o'clock this morning. And we'd like to urge you to take your Beatle records and your Beatle mania to any one of our 14 pickup points anywhere in Birmingham, Alabama. And don't forget the destruction of those Beatle records will take place in just a few days, and we'll keep you informed on all of that.
They were just stunned. You have to really put it in perspective. I mean, the whole scandal was very serious, partly because of the violence that was in America at the time. You just had the Texas sniper, Charles Whitman, who just shot dead 20 people. This was the same country only 3 years before where the president had been assassinated.
It had got dangerous, and we were threatened.
We knew we weren't being blasphemous. We weren't anti-Jesus. In fact, we'd all had pretty religious upbringings, really. But you do see John as sort of a broken man, because he realized he had to apologize. It was kind of the only thing that would stop this.
I was pointing out that fact in reference to England, that we meant more to kids than Jesus did, or religion at that time. I wasn't knocking it or putting it down, I was just saying it as a fact. And it is true, especially more for England than here. You know, I'm not saying that we're better or greater or comparing us with Jesus Christ as a person or God as a thing or whatever it is. You know, I just said what I said and it was wrong or was taken wrong, and now it's all this.
He's longing to break out of it and do a joke, but he knows he can't.
If it had said television is more popular than Jesus, I might have got away with it. But as I just happened to be talking to a friend, I used the word Beatles as a remote thing, not as what I think, as Beatles as though those other Beatles, like other people see us. I just said they are having more influence on kids and things than anything else, including Jesus. But I said it in that way, which is the wrong way. Yep, yep.
He was scared. We were all pretty scared.
Most of the people in the room understood it. And it's like one of those lines. But it didn't hold us back at all.
Concert tomorrow night is far below a sellout. How do you feel about
Very rich.
There were 3 road managers, roadies, on the tour, period, in '66. That was it. I was friends with the opening act. They said, do you want to do it? And I didn't even know how to set up a drum kit at the time. I had no idea. I was a musician in Boston. I was a folk singer. I had no qualifications at all.
We only ever had a couple of roadies. Didn't matter where we were. Biggest band in the land. That's all we had.
In Cleveland, the sound was so bad that everybody rushed the stage.
Cleveland Stadium has been absolutely riot. The whole place went wild here. Both battalions playing through the police cordon. We managed to get the Beatles off the stage. They were even all over the stage.
I really thought I was going to get hurt. We get to Memphis, and there's been a bomb scare, and we had to delay the show while they put bomb-sniffing dogs throughout the whole theater.
That kind of stuff was happening all the time. It was terrifying. Some people would set off firecrackers in the hall, and you'd think one of the others had got shot or something.
And we flew off to St. Louis, and it was pouring rain. My job was to sit backstage with my hand on the plug, and the instructions were, if one of them fell down, like knocked out by the shock, then you should pull the plug, and that would stop the show. It was a joke. This was 3 weeks that they just took a deep breath and said, okay, let's just do this and we'll make a lot of money.
A lot of the time we were going through the motions, and we all started to get pretty fed up. George particularly was quite sort of vocal about that.
I was saying, I don't want to do this anymore. I don't like this. I certainly felt that that was it, you know, that we weren't going to tour again like that.
There was no enjoyment in it, you know. The music wasn't being heard, it wasn't doing anything, it was just a sort of freak show. The Beatles were the show and the music had nothing to do with it. As we were musicians, we felt if we're going to be Beatles, the only reason to be Beatles is to make music and not be in a circus.
And when we were finished, I remember just being piled in the back of this meat wagon, which was steel and nothing else inside. We were all in there, sort of sliding around as it went around the corners. And we were all like really mad at the whole bloody thing. I think John started, like George, you know, that's it, I've had enough, you know. And we all agreed.
You know, we're just in the band saying, that's enough of that. We all knew, I mean, to like survive, we had to get back in the studio and get to know each other and play again.
Oh, I'm not holding back, George. I'm giving my all.
It used to make us laugh when we'd read people saying the problem with the Beatles is that when we were all growing up, they were all on tour, and so they missed the growing up period. But the truth to it was that we were snatched out of our youth. We were forced grown, like rhubarb. When you grow it under hothouse conditions, you make it grow much quicker than it would naturally.
Oh, God. Broken another string.
I think it'll probably be another day singing it.
And what you can do with the bits where you can't get it because you haven't got enough breath.
Take over, yeah.
All right, let's go.
In one way, it was good because we went into the recording scene and really sort of expressed ourselves through the records then, because we could no longer do it outside.
Living is easy with eyes closed, misunderstanding all you see. It's getting hard to be someone, but it all works out.
I got this idea for us to all be someone else, because we're so fed up of being what we were. We had to get out of it, one way or another.
Rightio!
However you like, you know, feel it.
Here we go. 1, 2, 3, 4.
I just said to everyone, we're not the Beatles. It was to liberate us. We're going to think of a new name for ourselves. We're going to think of a new way of being, a new way of recording, a new everything, just to be fresh.
So may I introduce to you the active number all these years at Sergeant Pepper's Lonely Hearts Club Band.
I'll be overpowering this time.
Oh, good.
I
Okay,
like you when
ready?
you're beautiful.
Quiet in the studio, please.
Picture yourself in a boat on a...
Go right in with it, me. Take those quicker. Cellophane flowers of yellow and green. Yellow and green.
Okay.
Anyway.
Cellophane flowers of yellow and green, towering over your head. Look for the girl with the sun in her eyes, and she's gone.
the music that was interesting, that was important. You know, as long as we were going forward and going somewhere, it didn't matter.
I read the news today, oh boy, about a lucky man who made the grade.
There was a lot of faith involved in everything we did. And the people around us had to share that faith, or it wouldn't have worked.
Now they know how many holes it takes to fill the Albert Hall.
Brian had to have faith in us. George Martin had to have faith in us. This is how it was with the Beatles. You had to have faith. We had to have faith in each other.
Don't let me down. Don't let me down. Don't let me down. Don't let me down. Nobody ever loved me like she does. Oh, she does. Yes, she does. And if somebody loved me like she does, oh, she does. Yes, she does. Don't let me down. Don't let me down. Don't let me down. Don't let me down. I'm in love for the first time. Don't you know it's gonna last? It's a love that lasts forever. It's a love that has no past. I've got a feeling that keeps me on my toes.
suitable ending, I think.
Ooh, I need your love, babe. Guess you know it's true. Hope you need my love, babe, just like I need you. Hold me, love me, hold me, love me. I ain't got nothing but love, babe. 8 days a week. Love you every day, girl. Always on my mind. One thing I can say, girl. Love you all the time. Hold me, love me, hold me, love me. I ain't got nothing but love, girl. 8 days a week. 8 days a week. I love you. 8 days a week is not enough to show I care. Ooh, I need your love, babe. Yes, you know it's true. Hope you need my love, babe, just like I need you. Hold me, love me, hold me, love me. I ain't got nothing but love, babe. 8 days a week. 8 days a week. I love you. 8 days a week is not enough to show I care. Love you every day, girl. Always on my mind. One thing I can say, girl. Love you all the time. Hold me, love me, hold me, love me. I ain't got nothing but love, babe. 8 days a week. 8 days a week. 8 days a week.
Hello, this is John speaking with his voice. We're all very happy to be able to talk to you like this on this little bit of plastic. This record reaches you at the end of a really gay year for us, and it's all due to you. When we made our first record on Parlophone towards the end of 1962, we hoped everybody would like what we'd already been our type of music for several years already. But we had no idea of all the gay things in store for us. It all happened, really, when Please Please Me became a #1 hit, and after that, well, Quarter Blimey's Heather No. Our biggest thrill of the year, well, I suppose it must have been topping the bill at the London Palladium, and then, only a couple of days later, being invited to take part in the Royal Variety Show. This time last year, we were all dead chuffed because Love Me Do got into the top 20, and we can't believe, really, that so many things have happened in between already. Just before I pass you over to Paul, I'd like to say thank you to all the Beatle people who have written to me during the year, and everyone who sent me gifts and cards for my birthday, which I'm trying to forget, in October. I'd love to reply personally to everyone, but I just haven't enough pens. In the meantime...
This is Paul here. Everything that John said goes for me too, especially the bit about birthday cards and the parcels, because all our homes and offices got stacks of mail last June. Ow! Well, it was my birthday. Anyway, we're all dead pleased by the way you've treated us in 1963. And we'll try to do everything we can to please you with the type of songs we write and record next year. Oh, yeah. Lots of people asked us what we enjoy best to sing. Concerts and television or recording. We like doing stage shows because it's, it's great to hear an audience enjoying themselves. But the thing we like best, I think so anyway, is going into the recording studio.
Yeah,
Lovely.
we enjoy that
Love
very
that,
kindly.
to make new records, which is what we've been doing all day before we started on this special message. Well, what we like to hear most is one of our songs, taking shape in a recording studio, one of the ones what John and I have written. And then listening to the tapes afterwards to hear how it all worked out, you see.
Yeah, Ringo. Hello, Ringo here. As you know, I was the last member to join the Beatles. I started to play drums in the group 1962. I've been a couple of other groups.
Oh, just wish the people merry, happy. Go on, for Christmas. Christmas.
Merry, happy New Year. And folks, happy Christmas, and may May everything you wish be granted.
Singers Wenceslas, King Wenceslas.
King Wenceslas.
Hey. Thank you, Ringo. Thank you, Ringo. We'll phone you. I'm George Harrison. Nobody else has said anything yet about our fan club secretaries, Anne Collingham and Bettina Rose. Not to mention Frida Kelly in Liverpool. So on behalf of us all, I'd just like to say a great big thank you to Anne, Bettina and Frida for all the hard work they've done. And we just hope you can go on pleasing you for a long time, because it's your reaction to our records that really matters. And I'd just like to say, brightly was the shone that night, though the winter cruel, when a pork pie came inside, gathering winter cruel.
Merry Christmas, everybody!